Women, moms, working moms, this one thing is holding you back. It's causing you stress and anxiety, and it is not helping you. It is hurting you at work, and it's killing your productivity. Here we go. Welcome to the Executive Mom Show. I am your host, Katie. This show is for working moms who want a little pep in their step for their busy work week ahead. Every show, we're going to highlight a career-related topic, and we're going to talk about an amazing thing that every working mom needs. Today's topic is really holding you back. It is preventing you from being your best self, and it is causing you stress and anxiety that you do not need. And that is perfectionism, the desire to be perfect. I'm going to share 6 ways that it is holding you back and 6 things you can do about it. Okay? Problems and solutions, right? So let's get into this. Number 1, it's destroying your productivity. When I worked at Facebook, we had this sign that said, "Done is better than perfect." I loved this sign. Actually, I just got goosebumps. I loved that sign. And at the time when we were working there, the competition was fierce. Facebook was not happening. I worked there early on. And there was so much competition, and there was such a rush to just get the UI better and get things out and pushed. And it was really, really an insightful and helpful. And I did some of my best work at that company because the fear was gone. It was like, no, it's done, and that's better than perfect, and we can fix it later. And maybe we will, maybe we won't, because it's not that important. So that really has stuck with me. So just remember that, like, it's killing your productivity. So you really, really need to drop this idea. Number 2, you should drop this because it's quite arrogant, actually, and annoying. Oh, I'm so perfect. Everything I have to do has to be perfect, or I'm just not going to do it. You pretending is really annoying, and you should really just stop talking about yourself altogether because we're not that interested. My very least interview question is when I do a lot of interviews in my corporate job, and we might ask someone like, hey, what's something you need to work on, or what's your weakness, right? It's a typical question. When people, I'm just really a perfectionist. I just care so much about my work and all the things. Don't use that answer, okay? It's very self-promoting. It's arrogant. We don't like it. It's not really genuine. So it might be genuine if you're really struggling with this, but it's just not a good look. So I would skip that answer. And a lot of people come up with that answer because I think they read some website where it said, like, somehow turn your weakness into something good. It's like, no, we all have weaknesses. We have to work on them, and you can share what your weakness is and what you're doing to make it better. Like, let's just be real, people. Number 3, it is crippling your creativity. This one is a bummer. So you can put something out into the world, or you can worry about it being perfect until you share it, and then there's nothing. So there's something or there's nothing, right? Now, if your little gift of creativity is singing, it might be offensive to others. So you might want to just ask and make sure people are okay with you singing. But if it's not singing, I think that my daughter thinks her gift is singing, and it's not, and I don't want to hurt her self-esteem, but I'm honest with her. And it can be quite offensive sometimes because she's so dang loud. But besides singing, or you can sing on your own. But my point is, don't allow this to cripple your creativity. If you're waiting until your painting is perfect before you do anything with it, or if you're doing some sort of a dance, like a ballet dance or what have you, just share it and do it and enjoy it. It should be enjoyed. You shouldn't be so ashamed because it's not perfect or meets this unattainable standard that you're hoping for. Number 4 is kind of related. You're going to be a better mom, but it's holding you back as a mom. This perfectionism is holding you back as a mom. there's so many situations that happen as a mom, and I'm like, what? Like, how do I handle this? I have no idea how to handle this. It's insane. And I've tried so many, I read every book and I do everything, and like, nothing works. So just laugh about it. Just laugh about it. As long as no one's getting hurt, it's not going to cause any permanent damage. I always kind of put myself at ease that kids don't really have memories until 5. I'm in trouble now because my daughter's 5, my son is 7, so now I can't really use that to help me. But in the early days, it really helped. So why don't you go with that? That, memories aren't really solid till 5. So you can kind of back off here. Number 5, where it's holding you back, is if you're waiting for these stars to align to take the new job or try the new thing, okay? The stars are not moving for you, okay? They're moving because of gravity, and they're going to continue to do their thing. They're never going to align for you perfectly. So if you want something, it's going to be hard and messy, and it will not be perfect. But if you want it, do it. Okay, don't wait for some celestial activity that is never going to happen, ever. And in fact, it's only going to get worse, okay? If you start having multiple kids and you get promoted in your job, it's just going to get worse. So the stars are really aligned for you when you're born. So you should go with it, because when you're born, everybody's doing everything for you, okay? Don't wait for those stars. And then number 6, it is causing so much extra stress. And I'm going to talk about looks for a minute, because I think that's a big one for women, right? You want to look perfect, and you might not want to go to the thing that night because you feel bloated or whatever. It's like, take that pressure. You don't have to look perfect every single event. I do as much as I can to get help. If I have to look nice, I have somebody do my hair. I enjoy doing my own makeup, but take the pressure off. You don't need to look perfect. Go and kind of get out of your head. That's really self-absorbed. Like, people are not really looking at you that much. Pay attention. Pay attention. When you're at a party, like, no one is staring at you, and no one is staring at your eyelashes. I used to spend so much time on my eyelashes. Okay. My eyelashes are wild. They are long, which is great. I'm happy about that, but they are wild. They go different directions, and I would spend so much time trying to figure out these eyelashes. And I know I'm not the only one. My friend Kelly in high school would take a needle, and she would sit there and separate all her eyelashes, which is highly dangerous. I don't recommend that. Her eyelashes looked great, but they looked great before she did the needle thing. So, like, what a waste of time, right? Just do 2 coats, do your thing, and then try to get out of yourself and enjoy the other people, especially if there's alcohol. I love outings where there is alcohol. I actually don't drink. I'm not a drinker. It's just not my thing. But when everyone else is drinking, they're not noticing your eyelashes or your perfect whatever hair thing you did. They are laughing. They're enjoying themselves. They're enjoying the conversation. So get out of yourself and into that magic that can happen, which is the whole point of going to an event anyway. Okay, so here are the 6 ways to shift, right? To get better at this. So number 1 is shift the focus from perfection to productivity. Think about the outcome. What can I get done? Remember the Facebook sign. Done is better than perfect. It's going to help you. Number 2, identify what standards are needed for each project. There are going to be some projects where it is high visibility, it is high impact. Think of impact versus effort, right? But if it's going to be high impact, it might be worth that effort. So identify those and figure out what are those standards that you really do need to meet, and what are those other projects that you can kind of let it just, like email. Don't be spending time on email, okay? That goes into the next tip. We'll just move on to the next tip. Number 3 is to put in rules for yourself. So email is one that I struggled with. I'd write an email, and it wasn't very long, because I'm not into, I know that long emails are not good. I would write it, and then I would like rewrite it, and then I would like read it again. And it's freaking email that someone's just going to delete. It's important, otherwise I wouldn't send it, but it's not that important. So I put rules on myself, especially with email. I get to write the email once, I get to reread it once to fix my grammar mistakes, and I send it. That's it. That's all I do. And you can do that with other things. Same with a memo. When I was in college, I really struggled with essays. Essays could just really, I felt like you could always improve, which is really difficult to move on. So I put in a rule, right? I write the essay one time, messy, just like write the whole entire thing. And then the next day, I would read the whole thing and just make it better. And then I would do maybe a day later, the final review, and that was it. I was done, and it worked really well for me. So hopefully this can help you. So that is, put those rules in place. Another one, this is number 4, is like a little game. I play this game all the time, every day probably. I set my timer, usually it's 30 minutes. So if I have to get through some project, or I do this email game also where I set my timer for 30 minutes, and I have to get through the entire thing as fast as I can. And this obviously is going to be something that the outcome, the standards might be a little lower for this, or it might be a high priority project that you do need to do a good job, but you might have to break it up. And when you do this, especially if it's something you don't really want to work on, set your timer. You can jam through it and see if you can beat your clock. And it really helps you focus on just getting it done, and your perfectionism actually takes a little bit of a backseat, which is helpful. Number 5 is listen to yourself talk. We say a lot of mean things to ourselves. We're mean. We would never say what we say to ourselves to like a friend, and you should be your best friend. Who else cares about you more than you? Maybe your mom. Your mom, but that's probably it. Okay, so let's be friends to ourselves, or at least friendly to ourselves. And if you hear a negative thought like, oh, this isn't good enough, or oh, I can't believe I'm doing whatever, just be aware of it and then switch it to a positive mindset of, gosh, I'm so proud of myself for even trying. Or, wow, we had nothing and now we have something. That's better than nothing in most cases. So really turn around that self-talk. That's going to help you. And then tip number 6 is do some experimenting. This is the action step for you to start now, is pick something that's a little bit lower risk. I had a really interesting conversation with an actress, and I was asking her about this. I thought, gosh, if I was an actress, I would be so stressed, because what if you don't feel good or you're tired, and it's like, it's you. You can't, at work sometimes in a corporate setting, you can relax and just do email if you're not in a meeting, or sometimes there's meetings where there's a lot of people and you can actively listen, but you're not performing. So it's not quite so exhausting. And she said, oh no, you phone it in. That's like a thing in the business. And I was like, what do you mean phone it in? And she's like, if there's certain scenes where maybe you're not the main one, or you just are really not feeling great that day, you just kind of phone it in and fake it. And it actually turns out to be okay most of the time. So I thought that was really insightful, because there are sometimes those jobs where you are performing. If you're leading a training or you're hosting a session or something, you have to be on. But if it's something that's low risk, you could phone it in and it might actually just lower your anxiety and you might do really well. So the thing today is I'm going to highlight Tim Ferriss's The 4-Hour Workweek book. Perfectionism wasn't really covered in this book, but the focus on productivity, like 4-hour workweek, like that is amazing. I eventually probably will do maybe a highlight session on this book, but I highly recommend it. Super great idea, super inspiring. I hope you enjoy it. And what do you think? What did I miss? I'd love to hear your thoughts and ideas. All right, have a lovely day.